It is September 14, 2024, and I am with JP again. And welcome back, JP, to Exopolitics Today.
I'm glad to be here to bring you this exciting information, Doc.
Well, you have already reported on a mission where you went to a facility and had your hand tested because there was a mission to Saturn that you thought you might be going on, and then you found out that you may have already gone on, or have already been on that mission, and now you have memories of being on that mission. So you want to kind of walk us through how you remembered and what happened?
I have recollection, yeah. I don't know if people remember episode number 35 when I talk about the table. And I put my hand on the table and it has a certain color, a different color. So my color was a greenish color. This particular color means that I've been out from the solar system. So when I remember that, and I was concentrating on the color, I started getting flashbacks when I was in a certain location at the base. So I don't know if this location spiked the memory or if this location spiked up the mission, but it started coming back in flashes. And I remember I closed my eyes and I opened it and I could see the rings of Saturn. I could see the rings of Saturn. I could see the most beautiful, beautiful colors around Saturn, the clouds of Saturn. And you can see the elements of the rings, different sizes. The size of my fist, smaller, until the size of a car. And there was an outer ring that the size of the boulders was the size of like big hills and big little mountains that we could see in the distance. I remember being in the ship. I don't remember walking in the ship. I was floating in the ship. And this ship was a type of mining ship. This ship was with two other ships. I could see in the corridor of the window, I saw another ship and I could see the letters of the ship. And I memorized those letters. In my subconscious, I kept saying those letters and the symbol I saw of those ships. So the ship that was closer to us, I saw it. But there was a farther ship that I couldn't see the symbols and all of that. So the symbols that I saw on this particular ship was an X dash 4808. And then I could see also the symbol in front part of the ship. It was a triangle, another triangle, another triangle, but it was sideways, a line with a triangle. It looked like a Sumerian type of language. And I drew a picture. I have the picture right here. I can show you.
Can you tell us what the ship looked like? What was the shape of the ship that you were looking at?
I'm going to show you the picture of the ship. I drew it.
Okay, if you kind of like bring it closer to you, not, okay, that's not working. Now maybe bring it close to the camera. Let's see if it, okay, yeah. All right, okay, we get an idea. You send that to me and I will make sure to have Jazz put it into the video. Okay, so you see that.
So this part of the ship was where all the elements. This ship had a big hole in the front, and all the elements of the ring of Saturn entered the ships, and the ship is like a mining ship. It mines for gold, silver, copper, different type of crystals that holds different types of energy. It also can have the particles of water that the rings of Saturn have, and the particle of water that comes into the ship has a filtration system that converts it and takes the oxygen out of the particles of water. So the system that the ship has, I kind of understood the system, and I kind of probably know what kind of system it is, of how they distract the water out of these particles from the ring of Saturn to get drinking water, also as getting oxygen extracted from the particles of water.
Yeah, as I recall, that was part of your military occupation specialty at the time with the Army, chemical equipment and water processes, converting ice.
Purification of water, yeah.
Okay. So is that why you were sent on that mission? Because of your skill, or were you sent there just to be an observer?
I was there to scout out for elements of water in order for the ship to extract the elements of water and also different types of metal. So they gave us this device. Huh?
The ship you were on, was it the same type of ship as the other ones that you saw, like a mining ship?
There was 3 ships of the same type.
I see.
The mining ships, same type. And I could see out the window, and I could see that other ship. And the people that were on the ship with me said that ship is the same one as the ship we were on. So there was 3 ships.
And how many people were on the ship with you?
I only saw a total of 3 people on the area that I was, but I'm sure the ship is like 1, 2, probably like 3 football fields large, 300 yards. It was huge. And as thick as a football field as well. So I'm sure there was other people involved in different parts of the ship.
Who did the ship belong to? Was it part of the Space Command? Was it a Nordic ship?
I remember having a uniform, a similar helmet, but it was a grayish color. And I remember having a grayish suit that the exoskeleton of the suit, inside the exoskeleton, there's electricity for the muscles, because when you don't have gravity, your muscle density shrinks, and also your muscle density, you have to exercise your muscle. So this particular suit turns on certain part of your muscles, exercising your muscle while you're doing a mission or while you're in the ship. So you don't physically work out, the suit works out for you, works out the muscles. So sometimes it's working out your calves with electrical pulses. It works out your thighs, your buttocks. It works out your upper shoulders.
So it's kind of similar to
chest.
acupuncture. It gets all your muscles moving.
Yeah. So it's part of the suit. it's a mechanism for, it's a healthy mechanism for the suit, for your body not to lose muscle on space.
I see.
And the helmet has a fan just like this one. I don't know if you can hear it if I turn it on. So it's quite, it was amazing experience, Doc, seeing these three ships in the vicinity of the ring of Saturn. So in the distance, we saw that there was another cigar-shaped ship approaching our ships. And this ship was way bigger. If our ship was like 300, this one was probably 6 football fields long, or probably 8, the size of it. And it had the same mechanism of grabbing the elements of the ring and pushing it out from the other side of this particular cigar-shaped ship. It was a bluish color, and it was approaching in an area of Saturn that's called the Ink Gap. I don't know if you're familiar with that. There's a gap that is probably 900 or 800 kilometers that is like a gap in the rings of Saturn, and this ship was coming in between that particular gap. It was coming in between the moon Pan. I don't know if you're familiar with the moon Pan that looks like a flying saucer.
I don't know that.
And there's another moon called Definus. So this Nordic ship was coming in between the moon Pan and the moon Definus. The moon Pan, well, these two so-called moon, they're actually dormant ships that are going around Saturn. Excuse me. You can cut that off. You good? You hear me? You hear me? Hello? I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I muted myself. I was looking for the rings of Saturn. I was trying to find out information about the different rings and what's between them, but yeah, they have the A, B, C ring, and
Okay, the A part of the, I think it's in an area of the A part of the rings.
okay, so between the A and the B ring, you're saying that's where the gap is, and
The
that's where
ink
you
gap.
were.
It's called the ink gap.
Okay.
So this,
Hang on. There's it says here there's large gaps in the ring such as the Cassini division and the Encke gap. Is that what you were in? The Encke gap.
ink,
Encke.
ink.
Yeah, that's it. The Enck gap or ink. I guess you probably pronounce it Enck or ink. I guess either
Would you
way.
say ink?
Encke. But that sounds like what you're talking about. So the ink gap, you were located there.
We're located in that particular area of the Saturn ring. And this moon that I was talking about, Pan, it's a dormant moon. It's a dormant, we can so call it an arc, a dormant ship. It's quite large. It's a large, it was a large, from the distance, we can see it, the reflection of the light of Saturn. And you can see it looked like a small little Saturn with the rings around it. But it looked like a flying saucer type of ship. But if you get close to it, it's huge. I think it's huge. I don't want to give the wrong measurements, but it's a big moon. And Definite also is another moon that I think is in the A line, and it goes into the B in line. And what Pan does, it makes what is the gap of the inky gap of Saturn. So it's quite interesting the job of that particular ship around Saturn, what it does in order for these Nordic ships to work. I think they've been doing this for hundreds or maybe thousands of years
Okay,
around.
so that big cigar-shaped ship, that was a Nordic ship, and your ship, you think was that a space command ship or?
I'm sure it's planet Earth. Yeah,
Okay,
it's part of
so
planet Earth.
both say U.S. Space Command and the
I don't
Nordics
think it
or
was
working
I don't think it
together.
was United States exactly, but I think it was Earth. I just can't say Earth.
Okay,
It's a
so
Earth equipment because in space we're all one. What is Earth? Uh, I know United States have their type of technology, China, Ukraine, or whatever, Russia have their type of technology, the United Nations, but when we're in space, we're all working together and we're all in this together. So we saw this particular Nordic cigar shape approaching our ship, and we started communicating with them with a large light that we had on top of the ship, and it was doing like a type of Morse code to it. And then we were communicating with it. I could see it through the window, and the whole cigar ship started lighting up blue, doing the same Morse code to us, like communicating back to us. So I think it was guarding that certain location of pan and deafness move, like making us not get close to those types of ships that are dormant still, that are still sleeping. So that was quite interesting. So we were just minding our business, just picking up elements, but we keeping our distance from the Nordic ship. It felt like more like a royalty type of ship, the cigar shaped ship, similar to the one I took a picture in Tampa that came out on the Tampa Bay Times. I don't know if you remember.
yeah, of course, yeah, we got a picture of that. So yeah, that Tampa Bay Times story just discussed that cigar-shaped ship, even though there were a lot of other ships that you were getting photos of, the triangles and the rectangles.
So I'm sure we've been communicating um, with these ships, and I guess they see the Sumerian symbols also, and they see our symbols. But I think they leave us alone when they see an ancient type of Sumerian symbol on our ship. So they know we're connected, I guess, to them as an alliance.
So that ancient, well, let's just say that the Nordics, they wanted to be sure that what you are working with or aligned with the Anunnaki. Is that what you said?
No, no, not aligned with the Anunnaki. I don't I don't think aligned with the Anunnaki, but that particular symbol, they understand it more than any other symbol. I don't know why, but we had that in our ships.
Okay. And what were you doing all this time? I mean, were you working on equipment? Were you observing?
They had me wear this round helmet. This round helmet, you put it on and you look outside the window, and it could tell you the type of elements by color of what we were looking for. So, water was like blue, and you could see a great part of the ring that was blue. So the ships went straight to that element just to pick up oxygen, water, and other elements. Sometimes there's big boulders of gold, of silver mixed in with platinum, similar to the elements that we find here on Earth, and also other elements that we can't find on Earth that are also in the rings of Saturn.
Oh, it sounds like a miner's paradise that you just go out and it's just there, you
Beautiful,
just scoop it up.
all kind of crystals, all kind of metals. I think Jupiter has a small ring like that as well.
I see.
I
So how long were you doing that for? How long were you on that mission?
I don't remember the time frame, Doc, of this particular mission, but the flashback was a couple hours of experience that I got. couple hours. I felt like I was there maybe a couple days or maybe weeks. But I got a flashback, and it felt like a couple hours of all these downloads and information that I got
Mhm.
with Saturn. And one thing that I remember about the ship itself, it had a tube system. This particular tube system was connected to the ship to different rooms, and it had handles on this tube system. And this tube system was my size. So because we were floating inside this particular ship, you grab yourself, you grab your body, and you put your body into this tube, and there's a constant flow of oxygen that goes around the ship inside this tube, but it also moves you like 5 miles per hour or maybe 10 miles per hour on a straightaway, 16 kilometers per hour. And that's the way you can move room to room and grab the handles and push yourself into the other rooms. But it's a constant flow of air in this tube that you can also travel into these tubes. So that was quite interesting. And that's something that really stuck with me. It was like a glass tube that was made like a crystal tube. And you can see different kind of letters. When you get into a tube, you get in like laying down and you just let it flow. The air itself pushes you to the other rooms and you get out from the other rooms and all that. So that was quite amazing and interesting.
Okay, so what rooms did you spend time in?
The room I spent time with was the top part of the ship that had the corridors, windows, and I could see out to the rings of Saturn. And that's where I was using my device to check out the different elements and report the different elements that were in front of the ships.
Okay, so you would like just check out what elements are out there, report those, and then if
Scouting the rings
okay, and
for
so
elements.
if you found something that was of interest, the pilot would just go and scoop it up.
Well, there was a person in charge that we reported to and gave him the information of what types of elements were there. And that person gives the information to the ship itself. The ship itself has like a automatic intelligence that knows the distance and knows how to grab these type of elements. So it's like an artificial type of intelligence the ships
So,
have.
okay, so the ship had an AI system that would.
Artificial intelligence, yeah, yeah, AI.
Okay, that's interesting.
But I'm
And
sure there's a pilot, a physical pilot as well. Similar to what the 747s have right now, how they have an autopilot. I'm sure they have a AI system also helping them with the flight schedule and all that.
so what else do you remember, like being inside of that craft? Like you were kind of up near the front, looking out the window, but what kind of equipment was in that observation area?
Everything was strapped down to the walls. So I saw a lot of computer type systems and a lot of screens, touch screens that had like a camera type, and by the way you move your hands, it can capture what were you saying. So I remember moving my hands to the cameras, but I do not remember what I was saying to the cameras. So I know there's a type of sign language that you use to give to the computers and cameras to communicate the information.
Have you been taught sign language?
No, no, but I remember using my hands in order to communicate with these cameras.
Okay, so you don't consciously remember being taught sign language, but you were using sign language on that mission.
It was a type of sign language, Doc. Not it didn't look like the like not that one. It was a similar like military style sign language.
Right, like they use in special forces where they just want to communicate because silence is important. That kind of language. kind of a military style sign language as opposed to the kind of universal sign language used by deaf people.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, go on.
The last thing I remember in this mission was we were passing Titan. And you can see the atmosphere of Titan. And as we were approaching Titan close, I saw other types of ships, but I did not recognize these type of ships. They looked like a walnut type shape, and there was a total of 6 of them right next to Titan. So they were kind of big, probably like a football size, stadium big type of ships, and they were in the vicinity of Titan. And after I saw that, everything else is blacked out. Like I don't remember nothing in between of how I got to Saturn and how I got back home from Saturn. So from there on, that's all I remember. I don't remember how I got on that ship or how I got back home, or also how long. I remember the experience is a couple of hours, but I'm sure it was more than a couple of days.
And do you remember talking to anyone on the craft while you were using the equipment, using that helmet?
The only person I remember talking to was when I was asking about the other ship, of if our ship looked the same way. And he said, yeah, it's a mining ship. And that's when I saw the other ships that had the symbol. So that particular ship was right next to us doing the same thing. And you can see the little heads of the people in the corridors doing the same thing, walking up and down, and I guess working the area.
Now you said there were 3 other guys that were in that observation area that you were at. What do you remember of their uniforms?
They had the same type of uniform I had. They had like a grayish type of helmet like this and a grayish black uniform. And they had like 2, it looked like oxygen packs, but they were oval and round on their backs. And I'm sure that I had one too. We all look kind of the same.
So why did you have to wear the helmet on the ship? Was it, did you need the helmet?
While I was in remembering everything, I had the helmet on the whole time.
Okay. Well, you used the helmet for identifying different elements in the rings of Saturn. So I guess that was specific to the mission. But I mean, did you need to have the helmet on in the ship, or was there kind of like normal oxygen there that could be
It was just
breathed? You took
normal.
it off.
The oxygen is different on these ships. So I'm sure you keep it on because of the oxygen level and also what you can read on the screens of the helmet that you have on, of everybody else's heartbeat and communication on the right side. Center, you have measurements that comes on and off.
Okay, so this observation area was kind of designed to be specific for the mission of looking for what's in the rings of Saturn. The oxygen level is not normal, so maybe other parts of the ship had normal oxygen. Would that be right?
Well, I'm sure the whole ship has normal oxygen, but it was mandatory for us to keep our helmet and uniform on.
I see. So what triggered the recall of this memory? I mean, because when we talked about your Saturn mission a couple of months ago, you didn't remember anything, even going, and now you have these memories. Did something trigger this memory recall?
I went to a location in the base that triggered my memories. I don't know why, but I started remembering different parts of the mission of Saturn when I went to this particular location at the base.
I see. Okay. All right. So this just happened like recently. You went to that location.
When I called you and say, "Hey, I got an update," I started remembering
Okay.
things that happened, and then it kept coming up. You know, I went to bed and I kept getting memories and all that, and it kept repeating. So it kept repeating the memories. So when it repeats, I know I've been there.
I see. Well, that's great. So you got a memory of a mission you did. I can't remember when it was. Probably, I guess, June or something. You did that mission, as I recall.
Episode 35. Yeah. People want to hear about that episode.
Yeah. Okay.
The information about the table and other people that were there. I'm sure it was the same three guys that were in that particular room with me that went with that in that mission.
Mm-hmm. Well, episode 35, that was July 16. So sometime earlier in July was when you you had that experience testing. Now, I guess you had that experience. That was update number
I guess that's
35.
when I came back. When I came back from the experience, that's when I went through that particular situation with the table and all that.
I see. So you did the mission, and then you came back and you did that experience with the table, and of course didn't remember at the time that you had done the mission. And those three guys you were with, they were kind of like, one of them was really abrasive towards you, not knowing that you had that you were experienced, that you had already done the mission.
And once he saw that I had the green light, they started, like, I guess, respecting me a little bit better.
Now you said that there were three other guys that were with you on the on that mining ship in Saturn, and there were three guys that were with you that did that strange testing on the table. So are they the same three guys that were with you on Saturn?
But over there they had helmets.
Okay, so they had helmets. So, but they could have been the same three guys that you got in the van with, and they were abrasive towards you.
It would make the best sense if they were the same guys. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, wonderful. All right. So that's a mission that you've remembered from back in July, and we suspect there might be more missions that you did that you might remember. Okay, so any final words you want to say about that mission?
Sure. What I saw was really, really beautiful. If people could go through this and see this and experience the rings of Saturn and looking the magnificent power of Saturn that vibrates your whole body, the vibration, it's spectacular, Doc. It was a beautiful experience. And even if I close my eyes right now, I still see it, the magnificent colors and that Saturn had and all that. So it was a beautiful experience. But why I see it and I saw it.
And Saturn itself, I mean, if you're in the rings of Saturn mining minerals, elements there, I mean, Saturn itself must be really big.
It is beautiful, beautiful, humongous. It is a beautiful planet, a beautiful gas planet.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fantastic, JP. I'm glad you were able to remember that mission. Now we know what happened on Saturn, and I look forward to finding out if you remember more missions or any more missions now that you are in a official retirement state.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a beautiful experience, Doc. Being retired, because you can still work on other places, and also they can keep using you on doing different things because you have knowledge of things that other people don't. So that's quite fun,
Right. You don't
you
have
know?
to do a regular military job now. You can just do your own thing, and then when they need you for a mission, uh, you just go and do that.
Yeah. And, there's things in between that we can't really talk about still, but
Mhm.
sooner or later, the all the governments are going to start talking about this. I've been saying that for a long time. We've been saying that for a long time, that, it could be a long disclosure or a short disclosure, but sooner or later, all this information and other people from the governments are going to start writing books, probably writing things that you already wrote 15 years ago, you know, and now
Right.
people are jumping on the bandwagon trying to, say, hey, yeah, little green mans are real, when we've been talking about it for who knows how long.
Well, since
I know you've been,
2008.
yeah, you've been on that since 2008. So,
But we've been talking about
yeah,
your experience since 2008.
yeah, 2008. But I'm sure people are catching on now, Doc. People are catching on, and it's going to get even better with more information coming out. Can't wait for more people to keep coming out from the military.
Now, I know a lot of people would probably be very interested, especially after learning about the circumstances that led to your retirement from the army. So, what's your health like? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm trying to do my drinks. I'm trying to exercise a little bit more and run more. So, the heart is a type of organ that you can't control it sometimes, um, depending of how much stress you put it on,
Mhm.
it could take a toll on you.
Right, right. But I guess retirement is not as stressful as trying to balance a normal military occupation with these covert missions and a family.
Yeah, yeah. But sometimes they could they could type of like not force you because of your knowledge of experiences to do on these missions, you know. So I know it could be my choice, but I guess when you know more details than other people, they tend to ask you, hey, we need you, particularly you, to go on this particular training or mission or whatever you want to call it, you know. So let's see what happens. That's I know a lot of people would want to go through this, but it could be a burden for a lot of people,
Right.
especially if you have a family and
Mhm. So
always looking over your back.
mhm. Okay. So,
Mhm.
so these missions are they're kind of required, but you still have a you still you can opt out if you want.
You can, but it could be like a lose lose or win win kind of situation,
Right, right. Yeah.
because you don't know where you're up and out. It could be an opportunity of a lifetime.
Hmm. I see.
So if you opt out, you're not going to see certain things that you never thought existed.
Right. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to tell us about this mining operation happening in the rings of Saturn and the spacecraft that are used and the cooperation between the Earth Alliance and the Nordics. Very valuable information.
And
So,
I'm sure they also do this in the asteroid belt. Um, these type of operations as well, Doc, for sure.
yeah, makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you, JP. And I know you're going to be at the JSIC conference, and this will probably come to air after the JSIC conference. So we will have, we'll be seeing each other there, and people can still, I guess, watch the recording of you at JSIC. So you will be doing a presentation about this. So hopefully, maybe you remember even more.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. It's going to be a beautiful experience. I can't wait to be there and be with everybody there at GSIC for the first time.
Awesome. Well, thank you, JP.
Thank you, Doc.
You have been listening to Exopolitics today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.